Thank you, Perry. So as you saw, Perry did the use cases that are deployment related before you deploy a system on AWS. Now I'm going to show you some things after the deployment, which is most operational pieces of it. So in my setup, I'm using Kube Developer CLI. CLI is an interactive chat where you can ask questions related to your account. If your account is already connected, AWS account is already connected to Kube Dev, it will go and fetch information from your account. Let's start with the easiest one. For example, I'm trying to figure out how many EC2 instances do I have, or what do I have in my account for a particular state. The first query that I'm going to type here is list all these SAP instances or ECD instances, because that's my production system for ECC, and I want to use different profiles. So you could connect multiple accounts to Q Developer using different profiles. If you have division between production versus Q versus development, you could control that via the profile. So now it's using the profile name that I provided and looking for SAP SID tag with system tag ECD. So it goes and looks for what system is SAP and what is the name of that SAP system using tags. Okay. So as you can see here, it provided the output of all the systems that are related to SAP SID EC2. It has information about database, ASCS instances, primary application servers. Not only it provided the instance ID names, but also information such as what is the EC2 instance, what is the current state, IP addresses. You could easily export this as a report, and you could use that, send that in email or any other format as well. Let's talk about a different use case wherein I hear that a lot about system copies. So if you're trying to do a new system upgrade or patching, you're trying to create a new sandbox system altogether. And I find out based on the current sandbox system or based on the current production system even, what is the current cost of that box? If you're trying to replicate it or try to clone that box, how much is going to cost? That kind of report, to create that kind of report manually, you'll have to go through each instance, figure out how much it's costing. You go through each configuration, storage options, and then stitch it together. So we'll ask Kube Developer CLI to do that for us. So here in this instance, we are asking, trying to create a clone of a sandbox system, use historical cost data, and provide me the tabular format. So you can also say what kind of format do you need for the output and what profile we are using, as in which systems or which AWS account specifically. So as you see it, based on the previous question, it knows what the systems are, and now it's going to use the MCP servers to find out more information from your account. So in this instance, it's using the Cost Explorer MCP server, which connects to your account, provides the APIs that could run for the cost, and will come back with the cost of the EC2 instances along with storage and the overall landscape. Got the historical data from the system, pulled the July report for ECD based on actual report. Since QDev CLI is connected to my AWS account, it's pulling the historical report based on the account. It's not an estimated result or anything, it's just pulling the live data from the system. It pulled not only the cost information, but it also understands whether it was a database server, application server, or storage. So in this instance, database tier is costing $1,700, which is 48% of the cost. Similarly, it pulled the cost for application tier, storage, and network. I like the cost distribution summary here. If you're trying to figure out how much cost is going to which item, so it shows that EC2 is costing 52% versus operating system. If you see here in SUSE Linux is marketplace license we are using in this instance. So it knows that I've subscribed to SLES for SAP S4, which has 6 instances and knows what the cost is. Kind of summarizes what the highest cost would be. Compute is the highest, then operating system, storage, and networking. I also like the fact that it's asking us to consider what the licensing impact would be. If you're doing a sandbox planning, do you need the similar size system? You can say, whatever the maximum cost is, how can we optimize that? If the licensing cost is for SUSE, for example, and they're using 6 boxes, do we need 6 boxes for sandbox system? It does talk about high availability as well. We are paying high availability premium because we are running 2 of these R for large instances. So that gives you a fair idea about what the current system is costing, how much optimization opportunity exists, and can I give a fair ballpark idea about if you're going to build a sandbox system to do this upgrade testing, you're paying this much per month. Let's look at a different use case where I'm trying to do an audit of all the systems. I want to know what the OS versions are for different systems. Let's say I'm trying to figure out whether OS needs patching, whether it has the latest version, latest patch, or even trying to figure out whether all the database and application use the same OS version. So here I'm typing the command that says I have the system ECT that I'm doing the audit on. Just tell me in tabular format what the OS versions are. Okay, let's look at the output here. So we had asked for an audit report. We're trying to figure out whether all the operating system patches are at the same level or not, and did find very detailed information about what the instance number is, name, what the OS level OS patch is, and it found an outdated patch. So it's saying it's out of compliance. It found all the SAP EC2 instances related to ECD. So if you see here, HANA primary and HANA secondary here, standby. And it so happens that HANA standby is on the latest patch versus HANA primary is not. So it is calling that out as well. And the summary it talks about whether all the instances are running the same OS or not, what is the informity across the landscape. So as you can see, creating a report like this would take a lot of automation effort, either or a manual effort of going through the console and putting information. QDev CLI can do that just as a natural language. You ask the question, it comes up with the report, and if you don't like some things, or you can ask follow-up questions. It's always, you can drill down into more into what the more details would be. Let's look at another scenario. Let's look at a different scenario where I'm trying to get a health check report of the same system. I want to see whether its system is performing well or not, if there's any optimization or recommendation that I need to implement. So at this point, I'm writing the query about generate a health check report for same SAP CD and make recommendation for cost optimizations. All right, it has the output. Let's look at the results here. We asked for a system health check report based on SAP SID ECD. Similar information that it had provided earlier about all the components there, HANA database, ACA, SPAS, everything is running. It knows about multi-AZ configuration as in high availability, architecture resilience. It does know about the patches that are outdated. It identified the critical issues and it's recommending that. Storage configuration. It also does the cost analysis that we had asked it to do about the EC2 instances, how much it's going to cost for each server or each component as well. That provides the recommendation for sandbox environment optimization. Since we are doing a copy of production to sandbox, it says you can do a right sizing by reducing the HANA size, for example. So it's a pretty comprehensive report that we can see, and then you can either email it to yourself or save it as a file that you can be used for later too. There you have it, folks. We talked about development or deployment. We talked about deployment use cases. We talked about some of the operation use cases using QDeveloper and QDeveloper CLI.
All right, there you have it. We've shown you that in just a few minutes, you can perform automation for development and operation tasks for SAP that previously would have taken hours, days, sometimes even weeks to develop all the code necessary to perform that automation. QDeveloper changes the calculus. It changes what can be automated based on the speed at which it can do it. Try it for yourself. Go think about other SAP activities you can automate, like cloning an environment, patching, finding the root cause analysis within the logs, and even figuring out how to fix them using SSM commands. If you need help, reach out to us or your AWS account team. Thank you.